to Horror Hour.
We all go a little mad sometimes. Get you. Here's Johnny.
Hi.
Hi.
I love your Dracula shirt. I just watched episode 2 today of Titans, and it was so good. Oh my God.
I actually did kind of wear that since I knew you were a fan as well, because huge fan. So clearly, how are you today?
I'm great. I'm so happy to see you. How are you?
Same. Okay, so I've probably watched this film maybe like we're getting double digits, but to be fair, I burned through those screeners, went to the theater, and it's just because I love this film so much. And what I'd love to know is just what it was like being a part of this experience, because everybody's talking about you as the new final girl, which I will totally jump on that ship as well.
Oh God, there are no words. It's been absolutely wild. And I think I am so surprised every time Sienna's embraced. I really wasn't expecting that. I just got done saying in the previous interview that, Art the Clown is already a beloved character in the franchise, already an established character. So I was fully expecting people to be like, kill this bitch. We don't want to see her. Yeah. So I was fully expecting that and waiting for that. So the fact that people are embracing Sienna and rooting for Sienna, it's just beyond words. And I'm so grateful for that, because it's really not what I was expecting at all.
My heart was pounding because I wasn't sure how it was going to go, because I truly was. Because the other thing is Sienna, which I really loved, is that you could go toe to toe with Art.
Yes.
That is one of my favorite sequences, is you're like, okay, well, I'm going to open up a can of whoop ass on you.
Yes. And I feel like you don't get to see that a whole lot in slasher films. So when you do, let's kick his ass. So I'm happy about it.
Yeah. The other thing that I really do love is I went into this film, expecting tons of gore, all this. But what I also was not expecting, though, was kind of the family relationship and the drama that this film actually had to offer. What was it like kind of creating that family unit? Because I was a huge fan.
Yeah, you know what? Going into my first audition, that was my audition. It was just family drama. My first audition was like a kind of an argumentative scene with Sienna.
Mm-hmm.
Her mom. So I was like, okay, this is kind of a family drama, because I hadn't seen the first Terrifier. So I wasn't sure at that point what I was getting myself into. So really the entire time filming felt like a family drama until it wasn't anymore, if that makes sense. So
Absolutely.
was really happy. I was really happy to be able to explore all those different family dynamics. I didn't grow up with siblings, so I loved to explore that dynamic with Elliot, who plays Jonathan, and see what it's like to have a little brother. I did grow up with a single mother, though, so that a lot of that came from truth. So yeah, it was really fun and funny at times. Sarah, who played Barb, was hilarious. She was so funny. I was crying laughing in certain scenes. Like I couldn't with her. She was too much. Yeah, I was really grateful to work with the actors that I got to work with. They were just so wonderful.
And another thing too, well, I'm curious, since you said you didn't grow up with siblings, but who is somebody you would go ride or die for? Because I'm not gonna lie, when you're like, yeah, I think I'll go, save my brother, I'm sitting here thinking my twin can fend for herself. She's good.
Oh my gosh. You know what? Even though I didn't grow up with siblings, there are definitely cousins that I have that I'm very close with. One in particular, my cousin Melissa, who we grew up together. She just had a birthday, and we spent the last 2 weekends together going to Halloween parties and stuff. And we're just embracing the love we have for each other. We've never been in an argument. So I think throughout my entire life, I would have fended for her. And if she was in that situation, I would get whipped for her, for sure. And also my partner as well now. But if we're talking about people my entire life, probably her.
Okay. Another thing too, because again, this movie kind of just exploded. I was very happy just with independent horror cinema, but to see how it's progressively just dominated the box office, the conversation, what is it like to kind of now, I mean, I see you're going to conventions and you're going to get to meet all these fans, but also just kind of represent Sienna.
Oh gosh, I mean, I've been trying to as much as possible, but also like trying to set boundaries for my own mental health, interacting with fans online, and I'm so they're just wonderful. Like horror fans are some of the kindest, funnest, most creative people that I've been able to interact with. So to have the opportunity to meet them in person, I'm so psyched. And I think it's only like a week and a half will be my first con in Oaks, PA at Monster Mania. I'm so excited. I really hope I get to meet a lot of the people I have been interacting with online. And in terms of representing Sienna, I mean, I feel like all the fans already understand Sienna. So some of them maybe even more than me. So I'm just excited to see how they've connected with her, see how they might have been emboldened by her. I love the people that have been inspired by her. So I'm just really excited to have both of those two worlds meet.
And there's already some pretty impressive cosplay out there too, which is so cool.
Oh my gosh, I have so many photos on my phone. I'm going to make a whole post. I'm compiling all the Sienna costumes.
I love it.
And I'm very excited about it. I'm going to make a post about it. I'm so grateful for that. And I'm so happy that fans love her enough to want to cosplay her or wear her as a costume. So I'm just so grateful.
Again, it's not something I was going in thinking I was going to just get this badass powerhouse of a woman, just be like, I was just like, oh, I mean, because the gays we're living, so we are just like, yes, absolutely. So I would also have to ask them too, just from behind the scenes, what were some of your favorite scenes to film?
Oh, definitely the fight choreography stuff. I really enjoyed that. I loved getting thrown around. I love throwing myself around. I just being able to physically feel what Sienna is going through, it takes it to a whole new level for me. But I think my very favorite scene of all to film was the finale between Art and Sienna, because it was cathartic for me. It felt so good to be able to yell and have like those visceral, guttural emotions. And I would do that every day because I think it's really therapeutic.
Okay. Kind of like that. What is then in terms of also with Terrifier 2, what are some of, I guess, were there any moments that were improv'd?
Definitely. There were definitely moments like that, especially between Barb and I. Well, Sarah, who plays Barb, and I in the kitchen scene, she like dropped some lines and then I would drop some lines, and it worked so well that Damien kept it in the finished product. So there were like, stuff between us that were said that was just kept. And I think same in terms of like, because you can improv a thought, you can improv a movement, you can improv a moment. A lot of the shaking that Sienna was doing was improvised. That wasn't scripted. And it was both because I was cold and both because I was terrified of what was happening. And it was just like thoughts that I would think the character would have. And Damien kept a lot of the improvised stuff. So I was really grateful for that he let us just have room to play.
That's amazing. How long did it take to kind of do all of, after we see the finale, of course, you've gone through all that, that interaction, those fights, to do like the makeup and the blood effects, and how was that going through that process?
It wasn't as long as Dave, to be fair. With him, the Art the Clown, that took hours, and he was usually the first person on set with Damien, and they were putting that stuff on. But in terms of like the cuts and the bruises and all that stuff, that did take a very long time, and Damien did most of it. He also had Jackie help, who was his hair and makeup person, and she was very good at it, but he wanted most of the creative control. But I think the worst part was taking it off at the end of the night. He had this really smelly serum, and at first it smelled like Fruit Loops, which was great, but then after a while it just started like having this awful stench, and he would like slowly try to take it off, and you can't just rip that off. You have to slowly like,
no.
I was just like falling asleep and they would fall asleep as they were taking it off, because we're on like hour 24 like of work. So it was gruesome and hard and daunting, but I would do it all over again.
That's, You know, that's probably one of my favorite things about this film, the practical effects, which I just love that Damien champions. But also, I don't know who you have to tell, but I need that soundtrack on vinyl.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, Paul Wiley, who did most of like the atmospheric music, but Damien was also able to get the Midnight and like some other incredible artists. And I think he got some help from the Fulhams. And Elliot Fulham plays my little brother, but like they are musicians, they're artists, and they know a lot of musicians. So I think they were able to get a lot of the posters in Elliot's room and Jonathan's room and help Damien with some of the music coming into the film. So the soundtrack was incredible. You're absolutely right about that.
I was living my 80s synth fantasy. It was incredible. You know, one of the other things too, just because again, now we have Sienna as this role model in a sense, who were some final girls that you looked up to?
Oh, I mean, all of them, but
Yeah.
I think that my favorite horror film to watch every year is definitely Halloween 1978. So Jamie Lee Curtis is like mother final girl. I absolutely love her. And of course, Sidney Prescott, of course, Sigourney Weaver, of course, Sarah Connor. But I think recently, and I've tweeted about this as well, I really love Mia Allen from Evil Dead 2013. I think Jane Levy is just brilliant in that role. She's funny, she's scary, she's horrifying, she's horrifying. She just like has so much range and so much believability and so much truth. And I could watch her performance and talk about her performance like always, every day. I love her so much.
I freaking love that. That's amazing. You know, with the horror genre, I am just curious, not sure if you've answered this before, but what was the first horror film you ever saw?
Oh, Poltergeist, for sure. It was the first one I remember seeing as like an infant. My mom was a huge horror fanatic. Like she loved Trilogy of Terror. She loved all of those things. And Poltergeist sparked my fear of clowns. Like that clown doll, it was over for me. Clowns and dolls because of Poltergeist scared the heck out of me. So it's kind of ironic that I play a character fighting a demonic clown because I'm genuinely very scared of clowns because
my gosh. That's you know, speaking of that, then were there ever any time on set that you might have broke character and just bust out laughing? Because there were some scenes that I lost it in the theater. I was just like, that's incredible.
Absolutely. And it's surprisingly, I mean, Dave is hilarious and he's so great. And there were probably times that I did burst into laughter because of him, but most of them were with Sarah Voigt, who plays Barbara, because she was just so funny as Barb. And like, she would drop her lines and she would say something ridiculous. And I would just like, I was literally in tears laughing with that woman. She was so funny. But of course, Dave, like, that's a no-brainer. He was hilarious. But I think in our scenes, I just wanted to get it right so badly. As quickly as possible because Damien loves to do so many takes and I was exhausted, so I was just like, all right, let's go, let's move on. But it was a hilarious experience and I had so much fun with all the actors.
You know, the first time you get to meet Barb, I crack up. That kitchen sequence and everything, and it just kind of took me back home too, where you're like trying to sneak a bite. That was really hysterical.
There were a couple times she hit me a little too hard, and hopefully Damien, I think he has some BTS footage of that because like we would burst into laughter because she hit me so hard and I was like, what the fuck? So
I love it.
So it was so much fun. It was so much fun.
So obviously we're all hoping that there's going to be a third. But if I would be curious, if there is a third, what would you want to see?
For Sienna or everybody?
For Sienna.
Okay. Well, I would love to see Sienna taking on a more maternal figure for her brother because she needs to take care of him now.
Yep.
So I would love to see her struggle with trying not to turn into her mother because as fun as Barb is, I think she had a very tumultuous relationship with her mother. And I think there are probably times she wants to snap on Jonathan. And I think I would love to see the struggle of her trying to be maternal, but also trying not to be the mother that her mother was. And I would love to see Jonathan go through trauma. He was 12 when all of this happened. So like maybe substance abuse, like I would love to see all of that and how Sienna deals with that. And also I want like a training sequence for her. I want her to level up. I want her to be stronger.
Yes.
I want to see all that. So there's so many directions that Damien could take Sienna, and it's up to him in the end, but I have some thoughts. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for speaking with me. It does mean a lot because, again, this movie was fantastic, and I think the fans really championed it. And I'm just so happy to see everybody involved just get all the success. So thank you so much, and I really hope you have the best rest of your day.
Oh, thank you so much. It was so wonderful talking to you. Hopefully we'll talk again in the future. It's been
Yes.
Yay!
Thank you.
You have been listening to the Horror Hour. See you next time.